Hey, so we're on to part 2 of lesson 1.8. Here we're talking about angle pairs. Like we said in the objective, you're going to be able to define angle pairs, two of which we spoke on already were complementary and supplementary angles. Now we're going to talk about adjacent, linear, and vertical angles, okay? What are, because it is a pair of them, what are adjacent angles? So they are, by definition, two angles with a common side and a common vertex that do not overlap. So they do not overlap, okay? And so they're right next to each other. In this example here, we have a diagram of exactly how adjacent angles look. So it says here that they have a common side. So say I'm going to call this angle ABC, right? And this is ABC, CBD. They are adjacent. Why? Well, first of all, they share ray or side CB. So they have this side in common. They both have this side, all right? They share that. And they also share the vertex. And the vertex that they share is point B. Sorry about that. The vertex they share is point B, okay? So, again, we have two angles, angle ABC and angle CBD, that share vertex B and side CB. So this is what makes them adjacent, right? Adjacent means right next to. So they're like right next to each other. All right, so what about a diagram of non-adjacent angles? So here we have this situation here, and they're not adjacent. Why? Well, first of all, although this angle, let's call this angle 1 and that angle 2. So we're specifically saying that these two angles are not adjacent to each other. Do they share a common vertex? Yeah, they share this here. They share that vertex. But what they do not share are the same side. So if you look at this situation, we have this side here and that side there. It's not the same. They don't share a side. In this situation, the two angles that are adjacent do, but in this situation they don't. They both have their own separate sides, okay? So that's why these are non-adjacent, and that's why these are adjacent, okay? On to the other side, linear pairs. You're going to see and hear this word a lot, okay? Vertical angles, a lot. You're probably going to see both of these all the time moving forward. So let's talk about what each of these are. So a linear pair are two adjacent angles, right? We know that these are adjacent angles, angle BOC and angle COA, because they both share a vertex and they both share this side right here, all right? So these are, right, two adjacent angles whose non-common sides, that's the common side, so their non-common sides are OB and OA, are opposite rays. And yeah, they're opposite rays. So we have ray OB and ray OA. One ray points to the left, one ray points to the right. So by definition, linear pair are two adjacent angles whose non-common sides are opposite rays. They also are a pair of angles that together form a straight line. So this angle and this angle form a straight line, and they do. Linear pairs are supplementary, okay? That's really important to know. If you see a linear pair, add them up, they're going to give you 180 degrees. This is referred to as a postulate, so we can accept this fact without having to prove it. We don't have to write a proof for this. We're just going to accept it as fact, and that's why it is a postulate, okay? So what we're saying here is that if we took the measure of angle BOC plus the measure of angle COA, it would give us 180 degrees, supplementary. Vertical angles. Okay, let's talk about vertical angles. Vertical angles are angles whose sides form two pairs of opposite rays. So we have this angle here. I'm just going to identify this angle. This angle, that's angle 2. All right? So we have angle 2, and then we have angle 4. Okay? One thing that I think makes it so much easier and more clear to understand is that whenever you have two lines that form an X shape, you're going to have a set of vertical angles, and they are congruent. They're going to share a common vertex, but with your vertical angles, these two are going to be congruent to each other. Okay, so angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. And I'm going to write that here. Angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. And angle 3 is congruent to angle 1. Okay, so that's what's true about vertical angles, is that whenever you have two lines that intersect at a point and they make this X shape, then the two on the top are congruent. These are verticals, and these two are vertical angles. So the angles that are directly opposite each other are vertical, and they're congruent to each other. Okay, they do share a common vertex. This description is a little, it's not the best. So it says angles whose sides form two pairs of opposite rays. Okay, X shape. So just write that, X shape. Right? Anytime you see this, vertical angles are formed. These two are going to be congruent. These two on this side are going to be congruent. And if you add them all up, it's going to be 360 degrees. Okay? On to angles at a point. Well, if you look at this situation here, we have three angles. It's not vertical because there's no X shape being made, but they all share a common vertex. And if you go all the way around, you get a full circle. Full circle is 360 degrees. So if you see angles at a point like this, if you add up all of their degree measures, they're going to sum to 360 degrees. That's really what's important about that. Okay? And then finally, to try it out, which you're going to do on your own. I need to see all the work that you're showing for this. And also I want you to write right underneath the type of angle pair. So I want you to write this into your notes, type of angle pair. Is it a linear pair, set of vertical angles, angles at a point, adjacent angles? Write down what type of angle pair this represents. Okay, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great evening.